Hello, and welcome to week 9 and in the EDIS 7010. This week we are testing and applying the strategies that you developed last week. And I'm very excited to see all of your strategies and how they are going to help you with the specific learning goals for this class. Which are to develop information seeking skills. So just a little bit about the background of this assignment. So in this course, we don't want you to develop static skills like specific content or factual knowledge, but instead we really want you to be able to solve problems in authentic learning settings that are novel, that you really can't anticipate. And so how do you go about learning how to solve new problems in all these different settings? Well, we try to engage you and learn about a process instead of a specific fact. And so in this way, we are trying to support you to get an understanding of how to figure out a process for implementing technologies in learning settings, in classroom settings, or in training settings, and provide you a very low-risk opportunity for you to try these out. And in this way, we're hoping to support your career development, because you can imagine for those of you who are interested in perhaps changing or becoming LMS students or changing into more of a technology lead at your school or at your company, then you're going to be asked questions like, okay, let's take this scenario. What would you do in this scenario? How would you support somebody who is using to use informational technology in your class? And so in this way, we're developing these strategies, applying them to cases, and then revising your strategy. We're really trying to help you out to develop these types of process skills or these kind of learning to learn skills that can be very, very important for instructional technology. And so I just wanted to reiterate that this may not be what you're used to. It's very different. Learning a process instead of a specific fact or piece of information, but it's really important for instructional technology, because you can imagine there are so many different teachers doing so many different things. There are so many different technologies that come out. From year to year, there are new apps, new websites, new simulations, new programs. Everything is coming out that is novel. And so instead of just saying, oh, we're going to use that, oh, we're going to use that, we want you to be able to figure out a principled way to investigate, to evaluate, to try out and reflect upon and evaluate how these things are or are not working in your specific setting. So that's just a little bit about the goals behind these activities. And we really help if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. But we're really trying to help you figure out this process in a low-risk setting. So with that, this week's assignment is to apply your strategy to 2 cases. Those cases can be your own that you came up with, because those are the ones that are most contextualized to your surroundings and your setting, or you can try any of the others. I just put up the first 25. After 25, I was thinking, oh, it's a little bit too much. So we've got 25 cases up in Collab. There's a website that has a brief description of all of them in Collab with the learning objectives, but all of them are also in documents in a folder under resources. So in the resources part of Collab, they're in a folder. And for this week's assignment, if you could just submit a write-up of your strategy applied to this specific case, that's what we would like. So either within the assignment tab or as a document, whatever you prefer, just submit it through the assignments. And I'm going to go through an example next to show you exactly how we're expecting or you can do this assignment. So as I get out of my presentation, I'll look, and these are the example tech implementation strategies that are available that we put out for the implementation strategy, and these are the example cases that we put out as part of the case assignment. So if you look, there's the personal statement, the overview, but here is when we go, and for for this technology implementation strategy, we have the big four processes of identify, analyze and act, support, and evaluate. So thinking about first, when I say first, I will identify targeted learning objectives and possible technologies to help meet the objectives. This involves blah, 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 blah. So luckily, the cases have been presented to you to help you quickly identify the targeted learning objectives and outcomes. So if you look over here, you can say, okay, I'm going to identify the targeted learning objectives. Here they are. You can copy and paste them over into the identify. You might also, as part of your identify, as part of your identify, you might want to identify the context. You might have put that into your assignment. So you can look at the context of what is in there and also the considerations and issues that might be specific to that context. And so you can either bullet point or just briefly summarize what those are for the identify. So for analyze and act, I said here, I will carefully analyze each possibility before selection. I will go beyond looking just for the least expensive or least time and consider how the technology may improve pedagogy or accessibility to diverse learners. So building on TPACK, I will analyze along the lines of technology, pedagogy, and content. Questions I'll ask myself and others include, does the technology make content more accessible and understandable? So if you look at the example cases, everybody's gone through and looked at the technologies with advantages and disadvantages. So you can use this to build up to say, does the technology make content more accessible and understandable? Yes, no, no, yes, something like that, and provide a rationale or explanation for why. Does the technology align with good pedagogy? You can go through and do the same thing, given what the people have provided you with advantages and disadvantages, and the difficulty of implementation. So you can use that same strategy and apply it to UDL. And then whatever you put for how you are going to support teachers and students, just go ahead and apply it to the specific case. So the teacher, I choose to use Learning Ally, and I'm going to support the teacher and students by X, Y, and Z. And then I'm going to evaluate it. So put your evaluation plan to work. I'm going to help this person do the Learning Ally, and then I am going to see follow up with students to see how much they had difficulties using it, or if there were technological glitches, and then record them in my Google Doc so that I will have evidence for teachers and students who come back to say, oh, I might want to use Learning Ally, and you'll have a little record of how that went in your classroom. So really it's just sort of taking some of the information of the cases and building upon it and fleshing out, answering the questions that you said that you would pose within your tech implementation strategy, and then the document that you create, that is what you can submit on Collab. So please let us know if you have any other questions. The next week, looking forward, we're going to be using what you've done here. You might see, oh, what question I really wanted to ask is, how much does this cost? And so I'm going to add this in here. So that was a bad example, but there might be something that you want to add for how you are going to support or how you're going to evaluate the teachers or the implementation, that you can change your strategy. So the next week we'll work on just refining your strategy after applying these two cases. But as always, please feel free to email us if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing how your strategies are applying to the two cases. All right, thank you.